Hello, this is Cuckoo. I'm at Superbooth 2023, and I'm right here at Unidentified Dancing Object, also known as UDO or UDO.
Hi. Well, thanks for coming along to our booth. Yeah, it's a nice sunny morning here, actually. It's really nice. And this morning, it's kind of relaxed. I think because it's Saturday, everyone's maybe still in bed or getting going slower. And yeah, so obviously, my name's George, and yeah, I'm the director of UDO, and we make the Super 6 and Super 6 desktop. And our sort of conventional colorways are here. Still, my favorite is the grey Super 6 actually.
The blue is my favorite.
Yeah, everyone has a different. I think this is still the classic for me. Black is everybody's darling, but yeah, we just thought we'd bring something new here to sort of celebrate having this. So we got the nice white Super 6, and yeah, we've got the Gemini.
Yeah, this year as a new kind of flagship kind of synthesizer, a huge new Super Gemini. I'm a Gemini, so I'm really intrigued by just the name.
Is it nearly your birthday then? We were trying to figure out if the Gemini was a Gemini, but not quite. If Superbooth was this time next month, it would be a Gemini, wouldn't it, when we launched it? But yeah.
So from what I can tell, just by looking at it, I need to step back because it's so big. Is that it seems to be a continuation of the Super 6, just like more and kind of a dual, a twin.
Yeah, well, in many ways, yeah. I mean, we, as a small company, many ways we're limited by practicality, and we want to try and make everything we do, a certain percentage innovation and then a certain percentage development. So I think you'll find from us as a company, you'll see we keep keeping things the same and then innovating a little bit, because that's how we survive, it's how we support our existing product ranges, it's how we keep going. But also it allows us to really just sort of take on board what people have told us, about the Super 6. This is still such a lovely giggable package, it's compact. The sound is very much the same kind of binaural oscillators and sort of nice analog signal path is the same across both of them. But here we've got some of those features that you can only fit on a bigger synth, such as an extra keyboard octave. Keyboard with sort of long keys, so they're hinged at the back here, so
Nice.
a better piano type action. Obviously poly aftertouch, we've got on here a touch strip. I'm a big fan of this section, the sort of left-hand control section. I don't think like many synths offer this. I mean, it's quite famous from the sort of big Roland synths from the 80s. It's the Super 6 has got quite a nice little left-hand control section as well. So that's been expanded a bit for this instrument, and as we do things, set everything roughly in the middle, and it's just bound to sound good. Yeah, so it's very much the same thing. From playing these two together, I got inspired that to really go on kind of soundtrack type adventures, connecting the two synths, and sort of exploring, maybe holding one layer. I think I've got some pedals down there. Yeah. Or maybe delay freezing one layer and then maybe arpeggiating the other one. You can really just get lost in sound.
How can you move between the layers? How does that work?
Well, this is the interesting thing. So here, what I think is quite unique about this synth is each sound layer has its own control strip. Very much like the CS80 did this back in the day. Slightly different concept because that was sort of like one oscillator per layer with its own shaping. But yeah, there's a true manual mode where you've got direct control over both layers. And then there is one section in the middle which is context selective. So here you've got context boxes. So for example, the polyphony modes are selected like that. But we've chosen to do it here with things that are LEDs rather than knobs. Do you see what I mean? So you quickly, when you switch contexts, you can see that, oh yeah, that's gone to that position, etc. So patch loading and wave loading is context sensitive. Yeah, but everything else you've got direct control. And then here on the left-hand control section, you can just choose where you're targeting, whether you're targeting upper layer with the aftertouch or the lower layer or both layers, essentially. So, when you first come to it, there's a little bit more of a learning curve. This, you know, these guys, they're just your friends straight away, you know, and it's got the nice long throw faders, and, you know, it's sort of, it's very difficult to make a bad sound. You just come at it. Admittedly, this synth, there's just a little bit more to it, and being quite large, you have to cast your eye from one end to the other. But again, we try and make things which you can learn, and I think that's the key thing. It's like, after a little while, I know it. Sure, I may have to look into a manual to see the transmit and receive CC settings, because there's a couple of, you know, settings for that. But once you know it, you know it, you know, and then everything's fast. And the idea is that we try and make everything immediate and fun, so that, oh, I have this idea, oh, I can do that, oh yeah, but actually it just did something I didn't expect, and that's cool. I'll capture that, I'll save it. So make it easy to save patches and recall them, and yeah, it's just an instrument that sort of focuses on play, really.
Yeah, let's go through some of the functions, and let's see how layer 1 and layer 2. What do you call it? The upper and lower layer.
Call it upper
Yeah,
and lower layer.
and
Yeah,
see how they kind of work together.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So as a sort of, I'm not sure how he set it up. I think we're on super basic mode at the moment.
By the way, I just want to chip in that I'm gonna drop a bomb here, but I'm not a fan of Sawtooth. But when I use the Super 6 and everything coming from UDO, I'm like, these Sawtooths, they're different. They sound great. There's like a creamy oomph to them, and it doesn't have that annoying thing that I often kind of shy away from with Sawtooth. This is different. I'm not sure what you've done with it, but with your synths, I like it.
Might mathematically be the fact that Sawtooths have quite a lot of odd harmonics in the upper ranges, and when you have, oh, it's going to get really quite nerdy.
Nerd time. I love it.
When you have sort of band-limited interactions with Sawtooths, sometimes the upper frequencies, when you have odd harmonics, they can all interact, and then the beat frequencies between kind of multiple notes of Sawtooths can interact to make kind of inharmonic beats, essentially. With the FPGA oscillators, you kind of just have an almost, it's not really limitless, but you have an almost limitless frequency spectrum. And it just helps to keep the high end less, it doesn't break apart so much, and you have a little bit of glassiness. So, but also here on the synth, the Sawtooths aren't the same. The different, I'm just listening to a Sawtooth here,
but listen to this. This sounds beautiful. Just a raw waveform. I love it.
Got a slight bit of LFO pitch modulation. They're done differently. So the two Sawtooths.
Wow. They both sound really good, but you can clearly tell there's a difference.
Yeah, there's a difference. One of them is actually a single sample, essentially, and the other one is actually just an algorithm that mathematically produces it. But that's kind of interesting, because Oscillator 2 and Oscillator 1 have a slightly different character. You know, you can sort of do different things with it. So, for example, as you can set Oscillator 2 to a sub-oscillator.
Nice.
Somehow in LFO mode. So just for sort of very simple basses, I've got almost nothing. True mono. Put it in legato mode, put a bit of slide. So hopefully it's a straight away. We're not doing any weird complex modulations. We're, you know, we're kind of just keeping simple waves and trying to make them sound good. And that's the ethos. If you can make a simple sawtooth or a simple square wave, just with a little bit of filtering, sound good. I'm just going to plug these guys in because we're being the YouTubers hogging everything for everyone. So we just sort these guys out with those. He's got to find a headphone jack. Yeah, just make the basics sound good and then build it up from there. So here we've got a bass on that layer. Can bring in the second layer.
Sick.
So straight away we've got something odd and interesting. But let's say, for example, okay, I want to go to a string patch. And I guess I know this synthesizer quite well. I could probably know what I'm doing. But if, for example, strings, we have a little bit of vibrato, maybe just on one sawtooth an octave above. Mix it somewhere in the middle.
So this is the lower,
Yeah, bit of envelope here. Maybe because it's strings, we'll have a little delay on the end. Maybe we'll chorus them. I often don't think it's necessary to chorus things, but it's a nice effect to have. And then perhaps a little bit of sweep on there. Straight away, is that?
Sick. Yeah, it sounds great.
We didn't even have to hear it, and we started from a sort of plain sawtooth and just boom. So now we've got something. If I go, say, up an octave. That's kind of quite interesting already. You could do something with. And so here, let's say on the left-hand control section, if I say put the switch up here, and now we've got the aftertouch going to the pitch bender channel. If I make it swell the filter, but maybe I make it only swell the filter on the lower layer.
That's beautiful.
If I turn the key track off up here, but I have the key track on here, so then maybe the bass gradually disappears, and we bring the swell down a bit. And maybe arpeggiate the, which layer are we going to arpeggiate? The lower layer, maybe.
Cool.
Okay, so maybe give it a bit of delay. So not delay, a little bit of envelope.
That's sick.
So if we make sure that the lower layer is polyphonic now.
Nice, so nice. Sounds great. And one thing we briefly jammed together the other day, and
spontaneous and fun.
yeah, and one thing that I really kind of picked up on was it the feedback?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
One thing that I picked up on was the resonance of the filters. So I was in some sort of resonance mode where it almost killed all the harmonics and just played with the resonance. It sounded so incredibly smooth and warm, something you really love to exploit or explore.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things. There are no secrets really that with analog filters. One of the reasons that they sound so nice and we like them is that they're very complicated in the way that the resonance interacts with your sound. So that the amount of resonance is very, very, very sensitive to the level of the signal that goes into the filter. So if you provide an oscillator whose level is very non-constant, the amount of resonance comes in and out, and the level of the signal can even change slightly the cutoff point of the filter. So the behavior of the filter depends on its input level. And it's, oh God, it's found really nerdy.
Nerd time. I love it.
So the complex interaction of the input gain with the analog filter and its resonance results in a level of kind of sonic complexity, which is quite pleasing. Because we don't like simple, repetitive things. We've grown up and got used to kind of leaves and things which are almost infinitely complex the closer you look. And often a lot of things we make, when we see a plain wall of new bricks, if it's too uniform, we don't like it. You know, we like it. So by creating oscillators deliberately, and then we didn't even turn the binaural oscillator.
Oh yeah, true.
Interesting there, and we didn't even have it in stereo mode, but then again we had a nice bass up there. By making the input to the filter vary in amplitude, which is what we're essentially doing here with our special super oscillators, the resonance thresholds get modified quite substantially. Let's turn the arpeggiator off.
Oh, that's so nice.
Slow it down.
And both the upper and the lower is the binaural workflow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, but what we did here that was slightly different is that, let's say you just want to get a real nice punchy sawtooth or square wave straight down the middle bass, we've got front panel ability to switch it out.
Oh, okay.
Before, what you had to do is actually unplug a cable, which really doesn't work for some people. So now we have a true, essentially a true mono mode, and you double the number of voices. So you can have up to 20 voices polyphony with a single layer.
Yeah.
And up to 10 and 10 split, essentially. Sync those oscillators for a second. Put those on a square wave. I'm actually sweeping the pitch with the aftertouch here. Now let's So there's like you're getting poly aftertouch to adjust the pitch of oscillator 2 while syncing it. It's quite a nice sound. Of course, you do it the other way around. You can adjust the pitch of oscillator 1 while syncing it. You also get an interesting effect, but it's slightly different, obviously.
How does the ribbon work? What can you do? Is it like up for grabs in the modulation matrix? So
Absolutely, yeah. So via the modulation matrix, you can map it here, but primarily it's for pitch expression. So I don't know what we've got here. We've got something fairly avant-garde. So I don't know where we're going to be with this patch that we've set up. Let's. So you can do sweep single notes. So if we put some release on and I hit a key, it only bends what you're holding. But you can also do trills. So let's get rid of all our release and delay and okay, it's not the best sound for that, but if I go down here,
adhere to the portamento setting, or is it not taking that into account?
No, the ribbon doesn't go through portamento, so there's actually no filtering or sliding on it. I actually found that any kind of filtering or smoothing or processing on the ribbon actually reduced its immediacy. So I actually found it was actually quite nice just to have it straight on, and of course it latches. So
that was my next question.
Wherever you are.
So let's say you kind of. I know that one of the changes for the Super Gemini is that you now can, from what I've heard, also morph between wave shapes.
So let's just have, again, not sure where we are with this patch, but we'll do our best on the fly. So adjacent wave positions here. Let's put a polyphonic fudge. Adjacent wave positions are now variables, so your sawtooth, it's not your favorite wave, you can of course bring it down to soften it. So we're mixing sine in here, which is actually quite a nice sound, I find, if we change the envelopes. Or you can have an envelope, sweep them, if we keep the filter wide open here. We're clipping you a little recorder there, sorry everybody. It's almost like a filter sweep essentially, as you move between waves of different harmonics. And of course you can key track and loop the envelopes, which is an interesting effect if you have different kind of almost polyrhythmic sequences that happen as a result of that.
Can you do it between wave tables as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go here, so if I switch to the B wave, let's take something with a fifth, and then on the other wave, I'll take something that's more like an organ.
That's really nice. I've been asking for this feature for a year.
So now
so happy to hear it.
We take a nice slow chord. Let's bring the bottom layer in as well. Get the LFO to move between it really nice and slowly, and just make a sort of nice, hold a big D minor.
This cinema is THX certified.
Well, hopefully you see that. How much actual movements of controls did we just do? We really didn't move many controls. We just sort of, okay, we'll try this. We'll just move that a little bit, and we've gone from a nice square wave bass to nice sort of, I don't know, cinematic kind of pad.
There is something incredibly pleasing with the sound coming out of the Super Gemini and Super 6, and that is something that I find very unusual today in everything that's new today. There's a lot of stuff that's very aggressive, in your face, cool, and that's cool too, but this is something that I've been missing for a long time, and I think you've nailed it, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Hopefully it can also do something quite aggressive.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I guess I gravitate to these sort of nice sounds when I play stuff. But there's no magic. I just think less is more. So that when you make an instrument like this, there should be as few possible stages before the output. You should never use any components that are higher precision than they need to be. So actually the sloppiness and the poor performance of things, carefully harnessed, is an important part of the sound. And I think the thing is with the modern design kind of tools that we have, we're like, oh yeah, I'll have that on there, and then we'll have that, and then that one's got this low noise and this performance. No, go for the noisiest possible, worst op amp, that you can have upstream. Because if the VCA gates it, for example, you're gating the noise. And actually the noise, we're humans. We don't like regular patterns. So we like a bit of corruption and a bit of like, bit of behavior like that. So hopefully that's it. And, you know, keep your gains in check. Keep your signal levels all right. Have distortion if you want, but, you know, make it something you can dial in rather than something that's inherent. Because as soon as you have too much third harmonic and odd harmonic distortion, you can't have nice glassy trebly sounds because they tend to, the upper frequencies tend to beat down at the lower range in an inharmonic fashion, and it just sounds ugh.
Nerd time. I love it. I'm here for that too.
So yeah, I mean, it's a combination of. So you know, I'm obviously a big Roland fan, aren't I? You know, you can see how inspired I've been, and the sort of, you know, Itsukaru Kakahashi always described it as like. Like there's a mixture between software and hardware, which is like artware. You know, you have to engineer things right, but you also have to just engineer them in a way that's like based on the fact that there is a human subjective element, and you know, forging that balance is I think how we get to the sound essentially. So careful, softly, catchy monkey.
I'm here for all of that, and I think you can tell by the sound, and also it really resonates with the way you speak about things. I can hear that this is something you caress over time and take good, like super. I don't know. You put your heart into it, and I can feel it.
Absolutely. You know, absolutely. With these, you know, these instruments have the same, you know, gorgeous sound as this, and. You know, I loved them, and we're all here because we just love sound, we love exploration, and I think for people that come and play these things, and you know it, and everyone here everyone's had those moments, when they're busy in the middle of something and they hear that sound, and maybe they get like little tingles up their neck or something, and then everything disappears. You might be worrying about, oh man, I haven't paid the bloody gas bill, which has been ridiculous, obviously, recently. But then it disappears when you go into this sound, and all of a sudden you're somewhere else, and you know it's worth it. The endeavor is worth it to take some people there, you know, and it's worth it for me. And I love these things, and I've been doing this forever, you know.
When can we see these available for purchase? Have you nailed like a release window for that?
Nailed a release window is quite hard to do unless you're quite a well-founded, established company, but we're aiming at the autumn this year. Yeah. So all being well, it'll be autumn this year. I mean, the hardware that we've got, you know, as usual, is in good shape. Obviously, we've got a lot of work. We're actually working on the Super 6 and the desktop at the moment. We're going to be releasing an update for those, and then as soon as we're done on that, we're back on the Gemini, and yeah, hopefully autumn this year.
Sick. I'm not sure I can add anything, but I'd love to play it for maybe 5-6 minutes. We'll turn into 2 hours. But thank you so much. And I'm so happy you have this T-shirt. I had no idea this was the acronym, but I love it. So thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you. Cheers for coming along and supporting us.
Cool. Gonna hand the camera to you and play it for you.
Yeah, sure. You're in dual mode at the moment, so you've got 2 layers, which is this one. So both layers are sounding.
I think it takes a lot of time to get to know everything about it, but whatever we've done today sounds bloody amazing, I think. So thank you so much. I love it.